Hello, welcome back, folks. Starting here once more again, and today for another figure review, as we're going to be doing another BANPRESTO's Qposket series Rwby figures. This time around, we got ourselves Blake Belladonna from the show Rwby. And like I mentioned before, during the last time when I did what's called the Rwby Pocket ones, I did say I was going to try to get the rest of the team, and I was able to get them. What's it called? Though Blake was the first one that finally arrived. I'm probably going to be waiting, like, probably next week or so, with Yang and Weiss to arrive. Overall, I'm actually kind of happy I got this. I will say this, unlike with the Rwby figure, it's kind of like toss-up with the Weiss and Yang one. And Blake, as the Blake one, I got used, so when I do the review, you're going to see some scuff marks up because it is technically a used figure, but it's still in good condition regardless. But I'm kind of happy I was able to get it, because like I mentioned before during the Rwby one, they're kind of a little bit difficult to get. Either they're out of stock in most places, or if you do try to find them, they're going to be a little bit pricey, just letting you know that. So without further ado, let's dive right in with the figure review. And we are back, and this right here is Blake Belladonna in all her glory, well, her Volume 4 glory. This is her outfit that we see her during the events of Volume 4. Overall, pretty nice looking figure. Basically, same thing as we see with Rwby. Basically, almost a regular full body figure with basically a gigantic head. Which, not gonna lie, I kind of feel like they could have really gone just with, they probably could have done normal size head, but you know what? It's fine. It's cute. It's adorable. Like I mentioned before, what's cool with this figure is that this is, unlike with the Rwby one that I did before, this one's a little bit more used, so you're going to see some scuff marks and stuff when I do more in-depth on the overview of the figure. But overall, it looks pretty great. The sculpting really looks fine. The detail work actually looks pretty great. The color accuracy to the character is perfectly fine. Let's go a little bit more on the, on the more in-depth on it. Let's stop the display stand. And let's go with removing the head right here. As overall, the detail work is actually pretty great. Like I mentioned before, the eyes are perfectly fine, no problem at all. You can see there is some scuff marks there because of the used figure and stuff. But I'm pretty sure I did like a video on how to clean itself up. It's pretty easy and simple. A lot of it is just basically just using some rubbing alcohol and just removing it. Just not too much, because sometimes it does discolor the figure, but it does help clean up and stuff. Usually with the what do you call those, earwax or stuff, or the clean, or the little things to like clean it off. Overall, the coloring for the hair is all pretty great. The sculpting looks pretty good, no problem at all. On the ears, looks pretty nice. Overall, looks pretty good. Like I said before, I really do just gotta clean the scuff marks, just almost all of it. For the body itself, looks pretty great. The detail work is pretty nice. Do love the detail work on her blade, looking pretty nice. You can see right there. All the sculpting, the coloring looks perfectly fine, beautiful right there. You can see her emblem looking pretty nice. The game camera decides to focus on it. Yeah, sorry about that. Camera decided not to be. There we go. I don't know why the camera sometimes decides not to focus when it should. Overall, looks pretty nice. The detail work for all this is pretty great. And another thing too, unlike with the Rwby one, which when I actually got this, apparently, I guess, well, we'll see how Weiss and Yang are, but I guess apparently these come separated, so basically just have to reattach them on here. So the arms are detachable, so this gives a little bit more better view. Just look at her weaponry if the game camera decides to focus, or the camera decides to lose focus. Never mind. This is something. There we go. Finally, I was able to get the camera back in focus. Legit, it takes way too long, and it's actually kind of funny. But what's it called? The way the blades kind of dispelled. But overall, I'm really liking the coloring for this. I kind of want to measure side by side with my other McFarlane figure of Blake. I'll probably do this side by side, like maybe in a bit, because I do technically have those McFarlane figures right next to me. But overall, it's pretty nice. I will say, when I was putting this together, I was confused, which side was which. But when I was like, okay, because I was trying to figure out where the peg holes for these were, like, okay, so this is the right arm, and this one was for the left arm, which kind of makes sense. But when I was putting this together the first time, I was like kind of like weirded out, confused. But overall, still look pretty good figure. Actually, I do kind of like how it's designed. Overall, pretty great. Let's just put it back together, and boom. And the head technically is supposed to be on an angle because the way it's designed. So pretty sure. How do we do this again? Right there, because I think, if I remember correctly from the box, she's supposed to be kind of like angled this way right here. There we go. Because she's kind of like facing down, like kind of like in a battle stance. At least from how the picture on the box kind of looks. I can see right here, a little bit supposed to be more of a kind of like angled, so I'm technically right on how it's supposed to be. So I kind of feel like she has to be a little bit more up, so I don't know. That's just something right there. But overall, looks pretty great. Pretty nice figure. I'm actually kind of glad I was able to get this. And is number 2 of the figures. Along with Rwby right here. Now we have basically 2 out of the 3. Now I just got to wait for what's called Weiss and Yang to arrive hopefully in the next week or so, because I did order those and I was able to get them, so I'm actually happy about that. So I almost have the complete Team Rwby for the Qposket set. But like I mentioned before, I do technically have another version of Blake as well. So give it 1 second. And like I mentioned before, I do have one of the McFarlane figure version of Rwby figures. Sadly, kind of like was this Blake. Getting a lot of those McFarlane figures are kind of more difficult for those who want to know. So I was able to get Blake with basically everything that she's supposed to carry on here. I think minus her stand. That was like one of the only things there. But overall, still got the figure pretty good and nice for those who want to know. Probably do a review of this one. And we'll probably do a quick review of this one right here. How she looks pretty great. I will say, getting the McFarlane figures now are really, really difficult now, and super expensive. Since A, McFarlane doesn't make them anymore, and B, trying to get them now since most overseas kind of gone now is nearly impossible. So basically, the only way you're going to get any of the McFarlane ones is basically trying to buy them offline from other people who are selling them. But yeah, this is a comparison between my McFarlane one and the Qposket ones. But overall, a pretty good figure if I do say so myself. The detailing and sculpting is still pretty great. Coloring is still pretty good. Yes, there's some scuff marks, but that's because I did buy the figure a little bit used. But I know how to clean those scuff marks off, so I should be able to clean her up a little bit later down the line. Overall, pretty great figure and pretty nice detailing design. What's called, and especially if you're a Rwby fan, it's actually a good figure to add to your collection. I do recommend it if you're able to find it. I was able to find the ones I was able to get on eBay, since usually my go-to is technically eBay most of the time. It's where you're probably going to find them. Usually the price around these are probably going to be between 20 and 30 bucks on regular price, but also remember to add on shipping costs, because shipping costs now it's like around 10 bucks. So for me, this cost me like 30 bucks altogether. It was like 20 for the payment price for the figure itself, plus $10 in shipping. So overall, that was the price I had to pay for it. Overall, still pretty good. I really do like the figure. It really looks pretty nice. And there's another character to add to my Rwby collection. But yeah, if you like the video, people, please consider liking, drop, share, and subscribe. I always do appreciate it, folks. And as always, have a nice day. It's I, Power, signing out, and I'll see you guys on the next one.